This series is called the Borderpolar Diagnosis, and the first episode is called What is Borderpolar? If you watched my welcome video, then you would know that the purpose of this podcast is to share my experience as someone diagnosed with borderpolar, which I'm going to talk about now is a dual diagnosis of borderline personality disorder and bipolar disorder. Borderline personality disorder is a personality disorder by definition, but more than that, it's an emotional dysregulation disorder. Um, Emotional dysregulation being one of the major symptoms. Bipolar disorder is a mood disorder. So, in that, they're defined differently in psychology. Borderpolar is a non diagnostic term. And what I mean by that is you aren't going to hear psychiatrists and psychologists using the term borderpolar to describe someone with a dual diagnosis. However, I like using it to talk about my own diagnosis because um, defining myself as someone with borderline personality disorder is not all inclusive, and neither is defining myself as someone with bipolar disorder because the symptoms that I deal with are bigger than that. So I like the term borderpolar. And if you look at the numbers, approximately 1.4% of the United States population has borderline personality disorder, and approximately 2.6% of the United States population has bipolar disorder. Comorbidity, an overlap between two disorders, happens in about 20% of people with bipolar and BPD, meaning that 1 in every 5 people with borderline personality disorder will also have a diagnosis of bipolar, and 1 in every 5 people of bipolar disorder will also have a diagnosis of borderline personality disorder. So there's a 20% of comorbidity there. If I did the math, and what I came out with is between 924,000 and 1.7 million people have a borderpolar diagnosis in the United States. So roughly 0.3 to 0.5% of the United States population is by distinction borderpolar. However, borderpolar is not a distinction in psychology. Should it be? I don't know. Do I think that people with this dual diagnosis need a place to find information to deal with it? Yes. So that's what I'm trying to sort of cultivate.